Good evening, everyone. My name's Gill Fountain and I am the owner of 38 Partnership. I also run the Facebook group Building Tomorrow Today with 38 Partnership. I hope you've all had a really good week. It's been fun and games here. We've had a lot going on. We've had to learn new processes. We're still mastering different platforms as we link different aspects up to some new websites that we're doing, which are very exciting. Now, I was going to talk to you today about something completely different, actually. I started off this afternoon knowing exactly what I was going to talk about, and something cropped up in the early evening that took me back to a time in my early 20s. Now, you would not believe this, but when I started work many years ago, I started off in insurance, working in our local town in Basingstoke, and I was in motor insurance. And the strictness, you weren't allowed to talk. If you were even a minute late, you had to go and apologise to the supervisor, which meant you had to walk the full length of a massive room with everybody looking at you and knowing that you were absolutely in for a rough ride that day, because you would get told off. You weren't allowed to take any breaks except for tea breaks. If you had a problem and you needed the bathroom or anything, you had to first of all ask permission to leave your desk. It was tough. It was really strict. There was only one phone in the place. Everything was done manually. It was unbelievable. But I moved on a bit, and the reason this struck a memory was I was looking for something different to tell you about on LinkedIn, and actually I did find it, and I'm going to show it to you quickly before I go back into my story. And bear with me, because I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to actually show you an area that LinkedIn help you. It's quite a new thing. I mean, I don't think it's years old. I came across it only a few months ago now. And do remember that LinkedIn are changing their the way things look all the time. So don't be surprised if what you see on your LinkedIn is not what you see here. So what they've done is, I'm going to only quickly show you this and then I'm going to go back into my story, is if you go into your profile, sorry, let's do that again. If you've got a company page already set up, and you'll find it on this piece, and you'll find it in the companies that you manage. So if you go into your company profile, wait for it to load, and you come up here and you click on this button here, and it's called content. And what it does is you use it to filter, and you can clear your filter, add your filter as you go. And I've got it set on marketing and advertising, but equally you can pop your industry in, your location, your job function, filter it down to whatever you want. And at the end of it, it will tell you how much of an audience you could reach by choosing some of these topics that they have put forward. They are articles that they've put forward. And in this case, it was 100+. And literally, you can go down and pick out anything at all that attracts your attention. It goes on forever. And you can come back, refilter it, start again. So that's where I got to this afternoon. And the only reason I went in was because although I'd been commenting on loads of posts, and I do every day, I comment on other people's posts and gather more people in and get business that way, I haven't done very much of my own posting lately. I thought it was about time I actually got on and did this. What was I going to write about? So I went into that particular area and I found something that took my attention. And the reason it took my attention was they were talking about dress code. dress code in lockdown. And they were saying, has your dress code changed since you were in lockdown, and how important it is? And it started me thinking about how my dress code may have changed during lockdown. Well, actually, I don't get up in the morning and put a dress on and get dressed up as much as I would normally do if I was going out and about. But if I come onto a live, or if I'm onto a networking meeting, then yes, I do. I go back into my comfortable way of working, which is dresses and blouses and skirts. It took me back to a time when I was working in my paper company, a paper company. It was a major paper company. And like I said, I was back in the era where it was very, very strict. There was nothing relaxed about being at work, especially if you were a junior, which I was. So I got to my, I don't know, about 18, I think I was. And I decided I was going to go and work in the city. So I did. I got a job in a major paper company in the city, just down from the Bank of England, near St. Paul's Cathedral. And I worked there for quite a while. You were not allowed to wear trousers at all. I don't remember. I actually only remember twice going into work where I was wearing trousers in the office, and we did move down to Basingstoke quite soon afterwards. So I was travelling up and down to London for a little while, and then we moved down to Basingstoke in big offices down in Basingstoke. And I did go into the office, like I say, a couple of times in trousers, and basically I was told off. I was told not to come in the next day in trousers. You know, this was not the dress that women wear. This was not the dress code. It's shocking, isn't it? Shocking that this is what used to happen. When I was in the area I was in, we were, the ladies, the women, whatever age, it didn't matter how old or young you were in dresses or blouses and skirts and high heels. It wasn't even flats. And there came a time when I was in charge of the price list. So I used to gather in from all the suppliers, all the prices for the paper and envelopes. And we're talking about thousands upon thousands of alterations to be done to the computer files to be able to get this lot ready. And when I first started doing the price list, it was actually this cutting out strips and pasting it on with glue together, and then it would all get typed out. And oh my word, it was a right thing. However, on the bits that I remember was I had a point where our printer was up in London. So we'd all moved down to Basingstoke, and of course when it came to the price list being printed and being proofread, I had to go up to London to the printers, which meant in the winter, on the train, on the tubes, walking off the tube to the printer, which was a good 15-minute walk off the tube. And I was working in there in a very small, tiny office in a very messy environment, and it was an all-male environment. So I decided I would wear trousers. On the third day, I had to pop into the office. I was going up there late, and I had to pop into the office first to get something. And I got called in, and I was told that the management of the printers had remarked that I was in trousers. And would I be a little bit smarter, please? And I said to them, it's filthy up there. I'm working with, this was pre-digital age. And they said, well, you know, if you could just be a little bit more cautious, careful, because you are representing the company. Anyway, I did, okay, off I go into my skirts and my dresses again, and off I went for the rest of the week. And I was filthy, and I just had to put up with it, and that was the end of that. But it made me laugh because, these days, people don't, yes, there are certain areas and certain sectors where you do wear dresses and the high heels still. And I have to admit, when I was working with the top buyers in London, I wouldn't visit the shops, the stores. I wouldn't visit the stores unless I was dressed appropriately. And the dress was black. It was. All the shop floor wore black. So I started off with very smart, colourful dresses because I usually wear colour and heels. And I quickly realised that actually I merged in much better, melted into the scenery much better, to the point that we actually, when we were in Harrods, we used to get stopped and asked if we could help them because we looked so much like the shop girls and the management team. And but there are times when to conform actually gets you a better purchasing power. It's funny, isn't it, how that happens? Going back to lockdown, I've had to do a little bit of training here. I'll lower my voice a bit. I've had to do a little bit of training here because people were used to just popping in, and I would quite often not stop. One of us would stop, but and it was the case that if my father came in, I would stop, and if Chris's parents came in, he would stop. But their entrance was always by the patio doors, which is behind me. And anybody coming round to the back door has to walk round by the back door. So we've had to do a bit of training because they suddenly realised that I was on video, and them knocking at the patio door and just coming in wasn't really the thing to do anymore, because it just messes you up, because you can see where my desk is not going to be moved. I can't move it to a different area of the room or anything. I've got this area that I love because I can look out into the garden, and I've got, I can do whatever I want. But it meant that our visitors had to be trained. And they are very careful now, in actual fact, to the point that a few of them will actually email and say, is it all right for us to come round? Are you busy? Can we pop in for a cup of tea or something? Because we've always said to our parents particularly, look, we don't take fixed coffee breaks or anything like that. We just don't. We tend to, and if we're not careful, we realise that we've got to 2 o'clock and we actually haven't moved. So it is actually quite welcoming if we do get stopped now and then. And if somebody comes in and we are at the point where we can stop, we stop and have a cup, or both of us will stop and have a cup of tea. 20-minute tea break is allowed. It is allowed. And they go on their merry way. But we have had to do a bit of training because I was finding that people walking past and just going to the back door because they were so used to easy access in this place. And it has seemed to work. But I do know that when I go to networking meetings and I'm doing presentations like this, I do dress up and I put my makeup on and my hair and everything. And it is a representation of you. So we're going back to the time again where I was in the manager's office and he was saying, you do realise that you are representing our company. And if I go back further, back to school days, I went to an all-girls school. And I do remember the headmistress saying to us, when you go down to the town, if you go into town, whenever you've got your school uniform on, you are representing the school. And if you do anything wrong, they will know who you are because of your school uniform. They'll know it was somebody from the school. And I know that worked all the way through because it was, oh, thank goodness for that. That wasn't us. That wasn't somebody from our school, it was somebody from the other school because they had the wrong uniform on. And it's strange how things stick, really, along the way. So I have adopted the my old way of doing things, which is if I'm going out to meet people, or if I'm here meeting people on lives or in networking, I still get dressed up. If I'm working with somebody and we're working face to face on, and we're going through different things, then I take a more casual blouse and jeans or something on that side of things. But I don't go, I don't turn up in my dressing gown or anything like that. And I just wondered, really, this is a conversation piece, because I just wondered what you felt about this. Have you had to train people as you've gone into lockdown and as we've all been working from home? And or have you changed the way that you work or the way you appear? Do you feel that lockdown and working from home has made you more relaxed in your approach, and how it's actually had any impact on you? And that's what I was going to talk to you about today. And that all came about because I went and had a look for an article on LinkedIn in that place that I told you about. Isn't it funny how it sparks memories of this week? And for the following, I've got 3 sessions booked into Eventbrite for 5 steps to develop a LinkedIn profile. 5 steps to develop an A+ LinkedIn profile. I knew I'd forgotten the word there. 5 steps to develop an A+ LinkedIn profile. We will go through a mini webinar. We will then go onto my live account and I will show you live where how things work. That way, what happens is you can see where the mouse is moving. And I don't get me wrong, I really love webinars, and my webinars are very visual. However, I do like having the live thing as well, because people can actually say, Jill, can you just go back there a minute? Because I didn't get that bit, and I can just move things around. So it shows people in depth about where they can go and improve their own profile. Now, very often we add extra bits to it as well, because there's a Q&A at the end, and it takes around about 50 to 60 minutes tops. But at the end of it, you will come away understanding a little bit more about how to make the most out of your LinkedIn profile. Now, I have had people that have actually said to me, slow down a bit, Jill, because we're doing it whilst you're talking. So if you are okay at doing that, you are welcome to do it. You know, come in, sign up for the webinar, the Eventbrite. I'll pop the link on underneath here later. Come in. I've actually made it free for the next 3 sessions. So take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. Come in, join me. It's 60 minutes out of your time, and it might make all the difference to you getting more followers, attracting those ideal type of clients that we all love, and end up maybe with friends, but it might add more business, more than likely. So do take care. I'm on around about 20 minutes this week. Do take care. I hope you've enjoyed the story, and going back decades, I tell you. And I will see you this time, same place, next week. Have a lovely week, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me. Bye-bye. Here we go. Bye-bye.